Rise and Shine with Robbo and Becky on Vision.
Well, I am very excited to get I feel like he's going to be a new member of the Vision family. Mitch Wong is joining us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
It is great to connect with you, mate. We've just started hearing your new song, Bloom, which has been on Vision for a couple of weeks. But keen to hear a bit more about you because there's a few little tidbits I've heard. You've won a Grammy, you're an Aussie living in the States, there's all this different stuff that's going on. So keen to hear a bit more about you. But first of all, I know that you're in Melbourne at the moment visiting family, but it's your first visit since COVID because you actually have been able to get back home for a few years. So that must be pretty exciting.
It is so exciting to be back home because we moved 2 weeks before the pandemic in February 2020.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, it was just one story in the news when we left. I think the main news was the bushfires, actually, still.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Yep.
So it was kind of just in the background. And then 2 weeks later, we find ourselves in lockdown in Nashville.
Wow.
And we kind of reached a crossroad. Do we go home or do we just stick it out? And we just felt the Lord say, just stay. Because we really felt, me and my wife, we just felt like there were so many roads leading towards Nashville for us. So we just, he's been so faithful. And we've been there for 3 years. And we just got our green cards on the January 1st of this year.
Oh, wow.
It was a fantastic way of starting the year. And it just meant that we were able to come back home and see family. So we hadn't seen family for 3 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's
almost
huge.
3 years to the day. Yeah.
Wow. So when you get off just a little detour because, we all like to know. When you get off the plane, I know when I get off the plane, the first thing I grab is some, here in New Zealand, some LMP. So what's your go-to? What you get off the plane and you're dying to get?
Honestly, McDonald's. I tell you what, I've come from the land of McDonald's, America, but honestly, the Australian McDonald's is my favorite.
That's amazing.
Okay.
I would have thought it would just
enough.
be all the same. Is it that much different?
Yeah,
No, actually, the quality is so much better.
Wow, that's
So-
amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Excellent.
And I tell you what
Anyway.
as well, when we got off the plane, the smell of the air is so beautiful. I hadn't smelled the eucalyptus for years.
Wow.
So just immediately, just little things like that.
Yeah.
It just brings you back home. It's like,
That's
this is
amazing.
I love
what home smells like.
That's so cool. That's a great thing. Now, so tell us a bit more. I mean, you mentioned you've got a wife. Do you have kids or what's the makeup of your family?
Not yet. So I'm married to my wife, Steph, and she's from Melbourne too. She's born and raised in Melbourne. I was actually born in Newcastle.
We won't hold that against you.
Yeah. Yeah, so just married at the moment, and we've been married for 4 years. But I think now that we're able to come home, we're probably one step closer to having kids.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Because the thought of having kids and not being able to see our family.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know what you mean. That's cool.
Yeah.
Now, of course, one thing you do have is some, I guess, musical kids. You've got some stuff that you've been producing. Obviously, we're playing Bloom, but there's more than that. Tell us a bit more about your musical repertoire and some of the things you've done.
Yeah, so, I mean, in a nutshell, I started writing songs at 15 because my youth leader at the time started writing songs, and I just fell in love immediately, and it became this obsession. I would start writing songs and, I did demos till 4 a.m. in the morning and all that, and this just went on for years, and eventually I started writing for church. I used to go to Planet Shakers, so that was such a big part of my musical journey, just writing songs, and eventually that led to writing in Nashville. And I was going back and forth for about 3 years, and just loving it, like collaborating with other writers there and just finding such a beautiful community. So of course, when we moved there, writing just went through the roof, and there's just so much going on all the time. So I've really started off as a songwriter and just trying to find songs that help people express what they want to say and just their testimony and their stories of what God's been doing in their lives. So I've done that for years, and it was kind of in 2020, actually. I had this sleepless night. I couldn't sleep till 6 a.m. because I got all of these song ideas, and my wife is so gracious because in bed I'm like recording all these soft little half asleep voice memos and writing down all these notes, and she's so lovely. But I woke up the next day, kind of when I went to sleep, and woke up again, and I realized that all of these songs have a same theme, and they're just a blueprint for this story. So what that really was just the blueprint for an album. And I had never gotten songs like that I felt God say, I actually want you to sing this. I don't want you to give this off to someone else. I want you to be responsible for these ones. So ever since then, I've been working on those songs. And essentially the story is, and this is where Bloom ties in, because it's a story of burial to bloom. And so the song, the first song of the album is actually called Burial. And it's about how in the Bible it says, Jesus says, if you want to find life, you have to lose it. Like if you try and save your life, you're going to lose it. But if you lose your life for my sake, you're going to find it.
Yeah, cool.
So it's all about just saying like goodbye to the old things, surrendering, and then becoming a new creation in Christ. So the first half of the album is actually like all burial themes and just like letting go of things. And there are a few songs actually that I wrote when people passed away, and I wrote it for these people, which is kind of beautiful to find God in grief.
Yeah.
And then it kind of transitions to this celebration of like the resurrection and bloom. And there's a song called Multiply, and it's just been really fun. But I think that's my journey so far, has just been, I've been writing songs for a long time, but then when you feel responsible for them and you feel like this is one that you should sing, it's just a whole nother level of like care. So it's been really special to see it resonating with people. And but Bloom has just been, it's kind of like an upbeat, just a celebration of the gospel essentially. But it's just been so fun to do it. Yeah.
And it certainly is that as you hear the lyrics. In fact, it was funny just last night walking around the house, I had the song in my head, but it really is that sort of the gospel in a nutshell, isn't it? Which is really cool. So that's great. I love hearing that, and the way that, I guess you've been able to identify the difference between songs that you're just writing, to help other people out or to get, things out there. Yeah. But then there's some that God says, no, hang on, these are for you. That's really cool.
And funny, because Bloom is kind of, I call it the genre gospel pop. It's kind of got like pop elements, and it's got a really awesome gospel choir. And I actually loved pop music growing up. My first album that I bought with my own money was In the Zone by Britney Spears. I was like straight down the line top 40 pop.
That's funny.
And love it.
It's been so cool to mix the gospel message with that sound. Yeah. So I just love, like, for me, Bloom is all about, when I was a 14-year-old kid, I was at youth group and I just felt so strong from the Lord. Just take a step for me, go down the front, give your life to me, and you're never going to be the same. And it's just, the gospel is beautiful, and everyone has a different story, but the gospel is just as good for everyone. Whether you're rich or poor, wherever you come from, whatever background. And I really wanted to write a song that just said, this is the gospel. It's a simple thing. Just God sent his son to save us. But I also wanted to add a challenge, because I just feel like the gospel is too good to keep it a secret. And in that, I've found that in my life, that my life, the gospel isn't just a part of it, like the good news of Jesus. It's everything. It's changed every part of who I am. So the bridge kind of expands into, let's go share the message. Let's get out of the four walls of the church and out of our comfort zone and share the gospel. So it was kind of cool to add a bit of a challenge to people, but in a joyful way, because the sound of it is hopefully joyful. But
that's brilliant.
Love it.
Now, quickly before we go, I know we're almost out of time with you, but you've won a Grammy, so this is quite incredible. Like, you're Aussie guy that we've never heard of up until a few weeks ago, but you've won a Grammy. So was that recently or was that a while back? And how did that all happen?
Yeah, so that was last year in April. And all I can say is glory to God, because we're just mind blown. It's just crazy. I helped to write a song for an artist called CeCe Winans, and she's just
my goodness. She's like amazing. Royalty.
I know.
Christian royalty.
Yeah. And honestly, the sweetest lady, and she
I've heard that.
She sung Believe for it so beautifully, and she wrote it as well. But the story of that for us, we wrote that for her last minute for her album, because she just felt like she was missing a song. So, and it's just been so beautiful to see the testimonies. But a cool story was a few months before the Grammys, we were looking to get our green cards. So we went to our immigration lawyer, and he said, let's look through your catalog and just see if we can actually make a good case for you to have a green card, because it's actually really hard to get one. So he's like, yeah, a Grammy nomination actually isn't enough. You have to win one. So
no pressure.
Fast forward a few months, and we weren't, this was, we'd already written Believe for it way before this, so it was never our aim. But on the night when we were there, we were like, oh, that would be so awesome if we could. And honestly, it was so encouraging, and it was just so lovely on the night. But Steph and I knew this was totally God making a way for us.
That's amazing.
Oh, wow.
We were just so grateful. It was a really special moment. And a few weeks later, we sent our application in and just got straight through.
That's incredible.
So it's just a miracle for us. But it's been so special as well more special really, to hear people who have found this song, battling with cancer, going through all of these really difficult times, and just finding faith in Jesus and getting their hearts encouraged. So it's really humbling to be part of something like that.
That's amazing.
It's so special, yeah.
What a cool story.
Oh, wow.
Well, I've got to say, we play Believe for it a lot here on Vision, but I didn't realise that it was co-written by an Aussie. That's pretty cool little tidbit to go in with that one.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, look, really appreciate you sharing a bit of time with us today, Mitch. It's been great to get to know you a bit more. And
you too, guys.
It's pretty amazing. For those that are watching this on the video, you're looking at Mitch's face. I don't know if you're like me. You're talking about, when I was 14. Like, you still look 14 right now. So.
Look, I'm a quarter Singaporean, so I might look 14 for a few more years.
I love it.
That
is so good. Well, look, you've certainly got a bright future ahead of you, mate. So it's been great to connect. Praise. And we do pray that God will continue to make those doors open up before you, as He wants you to walk through them. So it's pretty exciting. We really appreciate you sharing a bit of your story with us today.
We'll appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.